Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
8:42. I'm with Julie Gandy. We navigated through some technical stuff, and we're here. And Julie is one of the emergency life coaches on our platform. And well, I'm really excited to bring Julie to you tonight because, Julie, I feel like you have an amazing healing energy about you. Have
Okay.
people told you that before?
Yeah, actually, I think it's just been part of who I am. I've been a massage therapist for 20 years, and I think I've always done it, even when I was a young child with my mom and my older sisters. So it's I've always been that person. So that's who I am. So I'm glad I'm able to help people now.
Yes. And so we're going to give it a minute or two. I'm talking with Julie Gandy. She's one of the emergency life coaches on our platform. And we'll get into a little bit about her story. And we're live here, we're streaming, and we would like you to jump in, take a couple minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to share some questions. We'll go through a little bit about Julie and a little bit about her history, what got her to this point, and then why she's on the emergency life coach platform. And also, I think it's important to bring up that Julie, you have a pretty good handle on the healthcare world in terms of people, and you pretty much have an understanding that is a little bit above average, if you will. And you want to share with everyone maybe why that is?
Um, well, I've been throughout my career, I've always been in the medical side of massage therapy. And so I've worked with kids that are medically fragile. I've worked with babies that were premature. I've worked with cancer patients. I've worked with hospice patients. So I've, right now with everything going on, I can see the healthcare workers are under so much stress right now that they they love their jobs. They got into their careers because they want to help people, and now they're showing up every day fighting this disease that is taking a lot of people down, and they're just showing up. They keep showing up, and my concern for them is that when we get into the stress state, you know we get to a point where we're fighting. We keep the momentum going because we can't. If we let up, then we're going to fall. But once they get to the point where they can kind of start to let their armor off, then they're going to start really feeling the effects, the trauma. They're going to feel all of the burden, and so I think what we can do now to help support the healthcare workers is to give them small bits of I do guided meditations right now, and just like 10-15 minutes of just downtime while they're moving, while they're doing their job, and just to help kind of refill their bucket, because right now their buckets have holes in them and they're empty, and so we need to fill those buckets up so that they can continue to be strong fighters that they are, and so their own immune systems can stay healthy.
Yes. So well said. And the thing I think is really important, and I'm going to tell you more about Julie here. She's one of the emergency life coaches. I'm just going to pull up my chair here, but so we can chat. But the one thing I think it's really important, and to give healthcare workers all the credit in the world right now. They are getting credit. They were featured on some programs nationally as well as locally. And hello, Tana. Tana's joining us. She's just spoke with Tana today about she's actually a coach as well out in California. So we're discussing this because I think the other thing to bring up is that it's not just like these healthcare workers are dealing with people that have the virus, they're dealing with people that are coming in that are not just the virus, but they're dealing with all of it. People are coming in with different stuff. It may not be the virus, but people think they have the virus. And then they're dealing with the emotional side of people's fear and people searching for certainty and probably, putting them through the ringer because they're stressed. So that stress and that fear, although, who's to know how much of the people coming through are bringing in that fear and don't have the virus, but they may have some other things going on. But because of just the heightened state and awareness that we're collectively in right now, that these healthcare workers on the front line are dealing with that side of it as well. So they're dealing with the emotional side of these people coming through, and then they're also, when they want to heal people. So you can just imagine what they're under right now. And if you're just joining, Julie is one of the emergency life coaches, and she's been a massage therapist for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. You're also under the Jack Canfield success certification, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the final certification to come through, but that hopefully will be in the next month.
Yep, you got that. You're also certified in HeartMath.
Yeah, HeartMath coach and a trainer.
HeartMath coach, and that's some really interesting stuff, by the way. So Julie is very versed on dealing with people calling in that have stuff going on. She has a lot of different modalities. She's also a cancer survivor. So, you're talking to somebody who has a lot of depth, a lot of healing capability, and she's seen a lot. So it's probably safe to say that somebody calling in, if you were to get a client calling in, there's probably there's not many things that would surprise you. Is that safe to say?
No, I've been divorced twice. I've been, I've had a lot of things happen, and so yeah, my fiance is in law enforcement, so I hear that side of things, and I'm not adverse, or I'm things don't startle me too much, but I'm sure there's people out there that are having a lot of issues and a lot of things going on, and whatever it may be, it's just holding that space of an open heart, an open mind, and just kind of tell me your story, tell me what's going on, and we can find a way through.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, is that just people calling in, they just might need that exhale.
Mm-hmm.
They may not even need solutions right in the moment.
Exactly.
They just might need that moment to just say, to really process. And we've been following this a little bit, obviously more because of what we're doing, but we know that certain news sources are talking about it. And one of them was saying that some experts were saying that we're in the middle of the trauma. And so a lot of people are not fully processing yet. Like, they're processing right now what's happening. And what we're hearing is that this isn't like a few months thing. Like, for some people, this is going to be a year's thing, by the way. So I know some of people are really strong and you're like, let's get over this. But just to be conscious of other people, we're all at different places as we go through this. And the other thing, and Julie, I'd like you to talk about this a little bit, is that it's true probably that it's not just this, but doesn't this, like when you go through like a collective stress like this, doesn't it stir people up and trigger people? Maybe that other things that were happening, this just happened to be kind of like a trigger point. Would you say that's true? And if so, what would you say about that?
Well, I absolutely, you're right. And what I would say, how I would describe that is, when we get so stressed, we get hyper vigilant, and where little things will start to irritate us and kind of flip the switch, where we get, I describe it as like a thermostat. If you get to your home and it's always set at 70 degrees, say, and our bodies do the same thing, where the stress level gets to this high that the body's going to run always at that height, so it's it's looking to maintain that. So the stress level in your body, all the hormones, everything's going to be kind of pumping at that level. So when we get hypervigilant, more things start to get on our nerves. And so we have to kind of, number one, I think self-awareness is the first step in anything. Is like, what am I feeling right now? How am I, and it's just it's a check-in. Like, and then it's like, okay, I'm feeling anxious, and right now, do I need to be anxious? And if not, if the situation that you're in right now doesn't need you to be anxious, then choose a different emotion, and kind of just that constant awareness, check in, and then switch the emotion if needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention all the biochemistry that's associated with that, and that the things that shoot through people's bodies biochemically that causes problems when we're in that state, and maybe unnecessarily for some people, because there's I know people that are being triggered by this that they don't have it, they're not affected directly by it, but they're affected indirectly by it, and they're feeling a lot of the emotions. And it's like and I believe this is like my belief is that some people that are will feel this at a deeper level, even if they don't have the virus. They're gonna feel the impact of it just because of the heightened collective awareness that everyone has, and the constant pipeline of news and stuff. And what we want to be is, we want to be like a beacon, and we want to be a support structure and a service, an alternative, and we want to be able to operate as life coaches, to be able to hold space for people. And it's interesting and maybe you can speak to this a bit, because I think this is interesting. As a massage therapist for so many years, there's not a whole lot of dialogue, right? When you're in that line, but there's a lot of healing. And I would venture to say that you have a heightened perception of people just based on pure observation without words.
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Like, are you able to tell, when someone walks in, and are you able to tell maybe what's bothering them? Like, do you have any stories about that? Like, where you just had?
Yeah. Well, I remember part of my education was we had to go and observe people, and if we saw somebody with a hunched shoulder, or then we had to walk like that, and like, okay, what muscles are being affected by that, and
Wow.
by that posture. And so we had to kind of pull it apart and see kind of what would be going on, and then what's going on in other parts of the body to make up for that. So maybe their lower back is being affected, and then so it's definitely, there's a lot of communication that goes on during a massage, but not a lot of dialogue. So it's
Right.
a lot of feeling. I use my hands as the communication tool, and I can feel when somebody has a tight shoulder. It's just like, okay, like, let that relax, let it go. And they're like, wow, I didn't even know I was holding that so tightly. I remember working on a client that, she had her hand up like this. I'm like, let go of your arm. She's like, what? Like, just let go of your arm. And I didn't realize that I was,
Wow.
like, let me do the work. I'm here to do the work. You relax and let me kind of unfurl your muscles a little bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, I didn't even realize it was that tight back there until you touched it. And, especially like doing like chair massage, I do a lot of chair massage for companies. And, it's like, some people wanted a badge for being so stressed, and other people had no idea. But I really think that it's because it's a defense mechanism that they start shutting down parts of their musculature just so that they can get through their day. So they can work, they can drive, they can do their thing, they can sit in front of a computer for 8 hours.
Wow.
All that gets locked up. So when they go to relax, it's like, it's
Like the body forgets how to relax because you're so in a state all day, right?
Yeah, it's that hypervigilance, that
hypervigilance.
that thermostat is kind of set really high,
Yeah.
so they don't even realize it, but their body's running so
The
So
body's running that way. Wow, very interesting. So this brings up an interesting point. Through the training that you've had, through HeartMath, through your certifications, how do you think that's going to translate to being an emergency life coach when you're actually fielding a call? Now we do have the option for video, but a lot of these people calling in, they might be just on the phone. So how do you think that what you've done so far is going to serve you when you have people calling in and with stuff, right? Job
yeah.
loss, breakups, conflict. I mean, we know people are spending more time at home. That can be a bad thing. We know that.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
stress. Like, what do you know? It's like, I need a break from you. I need to get out.
I need to go
So
for, yeah. Um, well, I've always been the one that my friends would call and just vent, and sometimes I would just, so it was like I wouldn't even be talking. It would just be listening, and they would just talk and talk and talk, and I'd be like, "Yep, okay," and it's again, it's just holding that space. So what I tell. I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. It's like you meet somebody where they're at. If they're kind of really revved up, you're meeting them there, and then you start to kind of just calm them, just by words, by just being able, like you said earlier, just they need to vent, they need to get it out. And, I think that when they don't have, I have in my house right now, I have two elderly women, my fiance, my daughter, a dog, and a cat. And we're not in a very, we're in a little split level house. So it's a good sized house, but when you're sitting in the house for weeks on end, it gets, we're tripping over each other. And so there's definitely room to, we all have these different things that we have to deal with. So
yes.
yeah.
So can I ask you? This is really good. So if we'll see if we can maybe share something right now for people that are listening. So if somebody's in that situation, right, like you're in a situation, what would be a good coping strategy or strategies that you would recommend for somebody who's maybe feeling the stress of that right now, where they're in it, they got a lot of people in the house, they're stepping on each other. Some people are trying to work. Maybe the kids are playing after they're going through their courses, or they're not going through their courses. What would you recommend, or maybe what
Well,
have you done?
something that I've done with my daughter. She's grown up with me, obviously, and I've been doing this work for her whole life. And one of the things I would always say is, "Mommy's angry right now, but it's my anger. It's not on you." Or "Mommy's a little anxious right now," and just own it. Own what you're feeling and voice it, so people know that, okay, it gives you space in yourself, that you don't have to hide what you're feeling, because right now
Yeah.
it's stressful, it's
Yes.
anxiety ridden, and so it's okay to be anxious, but
Yes.
we need to be able to process it, and how to process it is what we're here to do, is help you process it and just kind of get through it, so
Yeah.
that it's not building up and building up. And so I'm always like, the I'm like, I mean, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and just so I can um, let people know that it's me, it's not them. It's not
Yes.
their situation, it's not the situation, it's not living in this house, whatever it is. It's and then I just walk. Sometimes I just need to spend some time by myself. I need to listen to some music, dance in my living room with the earbuds in, and um, you know, nobody else needs to be
Yeah.
around, kind of thing. So
That's really good. That's really good. I think that's a really good thing, is to be able to express and own it yourself.
mhm,
Let the other person off the hook. They may
right,
feel it. They may feel your energy. They may feel the upsetment, but they don't have to feel like it's their
wonder,
fault.
yeah, they don't
And
have to
then
wonder, what did I do,
right. And then when if you need to disconnect, you either, if it's a spouse, or but you communicate that you need to disconnect. And this way, if you disconnect, that they're not taking it personal.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, really great thing. And I think there's an art to that a little bit. And I think you're somebody who's very self-aware. So if you're just joining, I'm here live with Julie Gandy. She's one of the emergency life coaches. She's gonna have her Jack Canfield success certification here soon. She's 20 years in massage therapy. She's certified in HeartMath, and she's got a great. And that's one of the things I love about life coaching too, is that the people that come in usually have just a plethora of a life experience, and you're living it. So if somebody calls you and they're in the stress, you can relate to them right away, because you're dealing with it yourself, and you're coping, and you have a heightened self-awareness, and you're also a cancer survivor, which I think is amazing. And we also talked about the healthcare workers right now that we give a shout out to, that they're dealing with a lot on the front line. Julie knows that space well. And as far as emergency life coach goes, I mean, that might be a space that we end up delving into. I mean, it's possible. I was reading an article, and you saw it today, about the fact that doctors, this was from last year, doctors facing burnout. This is pre-COVID-19, how life coaching was an extremely viable option for them, because they don't typically want to go down the traditional counseling. They need to discuss their own stuff and a little more free form, and to discuss their goals and where they're going. And as you know, doctors work a lot. I mean, burnout's very common, especially now. So there's definitely a space for this, and we're gonna grow and develop it as we go. And we're glad to have Julie on board, and just to be able to. So Julie's one of the people that you could get. If you call in, she's definitely one of the people that you could get, along with many other great people we have on the platform so far.
Yep. And thank you, Austin, for putting this all together. And I think it's a great vehicle for people to get help. And, whether it's just that 15-minute, thing to I just need to vent, or something further. So I think it's very well, the timing couldn't be better right now.
So why did you decide to come on board? We'll ask you that question. And
well, I think to have a group of coaches kind of pulling together and pulling resources and getting the word out, and being there for people, and what you've created is second to none. That it's so well established right now. A lot more than I could do by myself. And so when many hands make light work, kind of thing. So and we can help each other. As a coach, I don't feel like I'm by myself. I don't feel like, I have the other coaches to kind of get some ideas from, or we could be coaches for each other,
Oh, absolutely.
and help each other through what all this is going on.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. And I just want to echo this, is that as a coach, or what we've built here is it's when. It's the why, but it's the when. The when is really important. And right now, thanks to Michelle and everyone really, but Michelle is the one person that stepped up and said, because she can afford to do it, and she actually has a history in responding to 24-hour service. So she said, we're gonna, and I got some other people I've talked to in Australia, and I'm talking to different people right now that we're going to be onboarding in different time zones, so that we're going to have coverage, 24/7 all over the globe. And
that's great.
Yeah, and the key is when. 3:00 in the morning, client or somebody is dealing with a breakup. Boom, they can be on the phone with a coach. I mean, to me, like, I get chills, because to me that's so valuable. To be able to reach out in that moment. Boom, we're the ones that they call. And so that's what we're building right now, and we're just asking for people to share it, get it to the world. I'm going to put the link in here, and Julie is on there along with some other great people. emergencylifecoach.com. And by the way, I'll just put this out there. We're working on a community too. I talked to you. Were you on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got a community that we're going to build where if you're somebody that you're like, I need support during this whole time, but I may not necessarily need to work with a life coach the whole time. We're going to have a community where we're going to have a calls. You're going to be able to plug into a private community to be a support structure, resources, coaches like Julie. We're going to do one Zoom call a month, a live interactive call, and we're going to be a support structure for people during this time. And we're set up, we're ready, we're going to be expanding. We got a lot of work to do, but we're ready. I'm ready to build this out. So, Julie, any final words before we close out?
No, I just, if I could just tell people that, it's okay to not be okay right now, and to be where you're at and own it, because once you own it, that's when you can let it go. If it's not serving you anymore, own it fully. I own my anger, I own my anxiety, and then, okay, I can let it go. But when you start covering it up with whether it's something that, is, alcohol or anything like that, you start covering up, it's still gonna be there. So just, own it and be okay with it, and then let it go. And
Yeah, and we want you to grow. I mean, the bottom line is we want to respond to a traumatic thing or whatever, but we want you to grow. We want you to continue to work with coaches like Julie long term if it fits in your growth structure, but because we're going to be building a lot of things on the back end to help people grow, and it's going to be heart-centered, and I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So we just appreciate everyone that's listening. We appreciate everyone that has shared this, viewed this, is aware of this, feels like it's a good thing. And even if one person shares it with one person, that's a huge help, because that one person will get it. And that's kind of what's happening right now. It's been an organic kind of a reach. We're going to do some paid stuff, of course, just because it makes sense. We need to get it out to the world, and we're going to do it. So, Julie, I'm so glad that we had some time tonight, and I'm so glad that you're a part of this. And let's touch a lot of lives here in the upcoming months and years with this.
Yep, that's the plan.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank
everyone, we're going to say good night for now.
Good night.
We'll talk to you real soon.